I woke up to the smell of fresh coffee and the soft hum of morning. Alex, are you awake, or are you still dreaming about your perfect wedding? My mom's voice pierced through the thin walls, light but teasing. I'm awake, I shouted, leaping out of bed. Today was it, my wedding day with Emily. I could still hear her laugh in my head, that little teasing giggle that made my chest tighten with happiness. Downstairs, my dad clapped me on the shoulder. Looking sharp, son. Emily's going to be blown away. I hope so, Dad, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. The nerves were already gnawing at me. My younger brother, Daniel, hovered in the corner, hands in pockets, a shadow over his usual smirk. Big day, huh? He asked, almost casually. I noticed a flicker in his eyes, something off, but I shrugged it off. Yeah, big day, I replied. You coming with us to the venue? He just shrugged. I'll see you there. His tone was weirdly cold. I tried not to let it bother me. Everything else seemed perfect. Flowers arranged, friends buzzing with excitement, and Emily waiting at the church, probably fidgeting with nerves. I was brushing my teeth when my phone buzzed. A message from Emily. Can't wait to see you. I smiled. Relief and excitement hit me at once. But then I saw another message pop up from an unknown number. Sorry, Alex. I'm with him now. What the? My heart froze. I dropped the toothbrush. My vision blurred. Him? Daniel? I scrambled to my phone. Emily's contact, last message. I'm so sorry, I can't do this. I love him. I stumbled out of the bathroom. Mom. Dad. Something's wrong. My voice cracked. My mom looked worried. What happened, Alex? Did Emily call? I waved the phone at her. She ran off. With Daniel. Silence. Then my dad's voice, low and strange. Daniel? Are you sure, son? Yes. I saw the messages. My words caught in my throat. Anger, shock, betrayal, a whirlwind I couldn't escape. Daniel leaned against the wall, arms crossed, smirking faintly. Hey, I didn't plan this. She made her choice. I stared at him. You stole my fiancé. On my wedding day. He shrugged. She wanted me. Not you. Don't take it so hard. Mom stepped forward, placing a hand on Daniel's shoulder. Daniel, you're still our son. Alex, try to understand. Understand. I laughed bitterly, a short, painful sound. Understand that my brother ruined my life? That my fiancé betrayed me? How do I understand that? Alex, calm down, Dad said, but his eyes weren't on me. They flicked toward Daniel, almost proud. Calm down. Look at me. I shouted. I'm the one left standing alone while you're all celebrating this. My voice broke. This betrayal. I grabbed my coat, my hands trembling. I can't do this. I can't watch them, and I can't watch all of you act like this is normal. Daniel laughed softly, a cruel little sound. Suit yourself. Enjoy being the abandoned groom. I stormed out of the house, ignoring calls from my family. The streets were empty, the sky gray as if mourning with me. I kept replaying everything, the wedding morning, Emily's smile that had never reached her eyes today, Daniel's cold gaze. Why? I whispered to the wind. Why me? At the church, the decorations mocked me. Flowers smelled sweet, music played softly, but there was no Emily waiting, no applause, just emptiness. I sank into a chair, head in my hands. They had taken everything, my love, my day, my family's attention. And yet, I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Betrayal like this wasn't just pain, it was a physical weight pressing down on my chest. I sat there, shaking, trying to comprehend the double betrayal. My brother, my fiancé, even my parents, they'd all sided against me. And I realized, with bitter clarity, nothing would ever feel perfect again. I stayed in the empty church long after everyone had gone. The chairs were lined up neatly, the flowers still fresh, and the soft hum of the air conditioner filled the silence. I hugged my knees, my phone buzzing with messages I didn't want to read. Alex, are you okay? Ryan's text popped up. I typed back quickly, no. Then deleted it. What could I say? My fiancé ran off with my brother. My family is cheering them on, and I'm sitting alone in a church that was supposed to be mine. Damn it, I muttered, tossing the phone onto the pew. A flashback hit me. Emily, laughing as I held her hand, whispering, "You're my everything, Alex." I remembered our late-night talks, her leaning against me as we dreamed about the future. And Daniel, my brother, telling me jokes, promising he'd always have my back. All lies. All gone. The door opened quietly, and Ryan's voice called out, "Alex." I looked up. He stepped in, hands in pockets. I figured you'd be here. Not much of a wedding without a bride, huh? I said bitterly. He gave me a sad smile. No, man. That's brutal. I'm sorry you're stuck with this. I don't even know how to feel, I admitted, my voice cracking. I loved her, Ryan. And Daniel, he's my brother. How could he do this? Ryan sat beside me. People disappoint. Doesn't mean it's your fault. You didn't deserve this. I keep replaying it, I said. I keep thinking I missed something. Did she ever love me? Did I ever really know him? You did. You still do, Ryan said firmly. But they made their choice. That's on them, not you. I laughed, short and hollow. Choice. My family's choice, too. They all went to his wedding instead of mine. Yeah, Ryan's voice softened. That stings. But anger's useless if you let it eat you alive. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. Images of Emily in her white dress, smiling at Daniel, filled my mind. His hand on hers, the way he looked at her like he owned her now. Rage simmered inside me. Do you ever feel like everyone you trust is capable of turning on you? I asked, voice low. All the time, Ryan admitted. But that's when you figure out who's really worth your time. Right now, that's you. I don't even know if I can forgive her, I muttered. Or him. Or anyone. Then don't, he said. Don't forgive yet. Just focus on surviving. Get through today. Tomorrow is a new start. I clenched my fists. I'm not just surviving. I'm going to make sure I'm stronger than all of them. They can't ruin me. Not anymore. Ryan nodded, a proud smile on his face. That's the spirit. And you won't be alone. I've got your back, man. Always. Thanks, I whispered, though it sounded weak even to me. We sat in silence for a while, the quiet pressing in, but somehow it was less suffocating with Ryan there. My phone buzzed again, a social media notification. Pictures of Daniel and Emily, grinning like they'd won the world, flooded my feed. My stomach churned. I looked away. They're pretending like nothing happened. Like they're happy. I hate it. You're allowed to hate it, Ryan said. Just don't let it control you. That's what they want. I exhaled slowly, feeling a strange calm settling over the storm in my chest. I won't let it control me. Not their lies, not their betrayal. I'll be better than this. Stronger. Ryan patted my shoulder. Good. Start there. The rest will come. I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. Alone or not, betrayed or not, I decided quietly. I wouldn't let this define me. And maybe one day, they'd regret thinking they broke me. I scrolled through my phone, jaw tight, stomach twisting. Another picture of Daniel and Emily smiling at the altar. Another video of them dancing, laughing like my entire world didn't just collapse. Unbelievable. I muttered to myself, voice low. How can everyone just celebrate them? My phone buzzed. A message from Mom. So proud of your brother today. Wish you were here. I laughed bitterly. Wish I was there. Mom, I was supposed to be the groom. I typed furiously, then deleted it. There was no point. She'd never understand. Dad called. Alex, are you sulking again? Don't be dramatic. Sulking. I snapped. Dad, she left me. With Daniel. And you're telling me I'm sulking. Well, it's a family celebration, he said, calm, distant. Daniel's happy. Isn't that what matters? What about me? Do I not matter? My hands shook as I gripped the phone. Dad hesitated. You'll get over it. You're young. Life moves on. Life moves on. I repeated, voice rising. Do you even hear yourself? My brother stole my fiancée, and you're telling me to move on. You're too emotional, Alex. Calm down, he said. Stop making this a bigger deal than it is. I hung up. My fingers hovered over the screen, trembling. The photos, the videos, every smiling face mocking me through glass and pixels. I could hear laughter, music, and toasts that I was never part of. My parents, my brother, my fiancé, all celebrating behind a perfect mask while I rotted in silence. I slammed the phone down. I can't just sit here. I ran to the window, peering down at the streets below. Friends and distant relatives were arriving at the hall, laughing and hugging Daniel and Emily. My best friend Ryan's voice echoed in my head. Focus on yourself. Don't let it control you. But control. They'd already taken mine. I remembered the way Emily's eyes sparkled the night she told me she loved me. Now those same eyes were on Daniel, her smile reserved for him alone. Rage bubbled inside me, sharp and white-hot. I needed to confront them, or at least my parents. Mom, I shouted when I stormed into the living room. Dad, I need to talk to you. They looked up, calm, almost amused. Alex, what now? Mom said. I saw everything. The pictures, the videos. You're all celebrating them, ignoring what they did to me. Dad shook his head. Alex, you're blowing this out of proportion. Daniel's wedding is bigger. He deserves our support. I froze. Deserves? Deserves to ruin my life. Mom crossed her arms. Stop whining. Daniel is our son too, Alex. You need to accept that he is happiness too. I laughed, a short, bitter bark. Happiness? You call this happiness? Stealing from me, humiliating me in front of everyone, and you're proud of him. Dad's eyes hardened. He's your brother, and he's the one with the stronger future. Emily made her choice. I swallowed hard, rage and humiliation mixing like fire and ice. Stronger future? They're built on lies. You're blind if you can't see that. Mom didn't respond. Dad turned back to his paper, as if I didn't exist. I sank into a chair, my fists clenched. Fine, I muttered. If no one sees it, then I'll see it for myself. If they're blind to the truth, I'll make sure I'm not. I took a deep breath, heart still hammering. I can't change them, but I can change me. I'll make them regret underestimating me. Emily, Daniel, everyone. The first spark of clarity cut through the fog. I started analyzing. Daniel's arrogance, Emily's impulsiveness, the cracks in their so-called perfect day. Each picture, each smug smile was a clue. Weaknesses revealed themselves slowly, naturally. I whispered to myself, barely audible, almost a vow. I'll take it all back. Quietly. Carefully. They won't see it coming. I turned back to the window, staring at the lights of the wedding hall. Music and laughter reached me even here. But this time, I didn't feel powerless. No, this wasn't the end. This was the beginning of something else, my beginning. I clenched my fists again. I'm not done. Not yet. They've taken my day, but they won't take my life. Not my future. Not my pride. For the first time since the morning, I felt control creeping back into my chest. I would survive. I would rise. And one day, everyone who celebrated that betrayal would see what they lost. I arrived at work the next morning, still feeling the weight of yesterday, but determined not to let it crush me. My office smelled of coffee and paper, familiar enough to ground me. Alex, over here. Jenna waved me over. Her smile was warm, genuine. I slumped into the chair beside her, letting a small sigh escape. You okay? She asked. Surviving, I muttered. Barely. She nudged my shoulder. That's more than yesterday. Baby steps. I forced a laugh. Yeah, baby steps. Later, I found Sarah at her desk, headphones on, typing furiously. She looked up when I approached. Hey, she said softly. You look like you could use a friend. I'm managing, I said, rubbing my eyes. Thanks. She tilted her head, studying me. I've been where you are. Betrayal cuts deep. Sometimes talking helps. I hesitated, then shrugged. Not much to say. My brother and my ex ruined everything. Family sided with them. I don't even know who I am without it all. Sarah's eyes softened. You're more than what they did to you. You're still Alex. Still capable. Still worth something. Her words hit harder than I expected. Worth something. I realized I'd been measuring myself against their choices, their happiness. And I was forgetting me. Thanks, I said quietly. I needed to hear that. She smiled. Anytime. And work's a good distraction, right? I nodded. For the first time in days, I focused on something other than betrayal. Deadlines, projects, client calls. I buried myself in them. My coworkers noticed the change. Looking sharp, man, Jake said, tossing me a pen. We've got your back if you need it. Thanks, I said, feeling a tiny spark of normalcy. But my mind kept drifting. I couldn't ignore what I'd seen online. Their perfect smiles, Daniel's arrogance, Emily's forced laughter. Something was off. At lunch, Sarah and I sat together, sharing sandwiches. You know, she said, people who seem perfect often aren't. I've seen it. The cracks show eventually. I smirked. You mean like Daniel and Emily? She nodded slowly. Exactly. Happy couples on the outside, messy ones on the inside. And sometimes, karma finds its way without you lifting a finger. Her words settled over me like a bomb. I didn't have to chase revenge immediately. Maybe I could wait, watch, and let the universe do its work while I rebuilt my life. Later, I caught a glimpse of Daniel in a video call Emily had posted. His arrogance, his smug tone, it was the same as always. But she didn't seem genuinely happy. She laughed at his jokes, but there was something forced in her eyes. See that? I whispered to myself. Not so perfect. I spent the next few days quietly observing. At work, I focused on projects, pushing myself harder than ever. Outside, I spent time with friends, Ryan checking in constantly, Sarah offering support. One evening, she looked at me as we walked out of the office. You're changing, Alex. I can see it. Stronger. More yourself. I feel it, I admitted. Like I'm reclaiming parts of me I didn't know I'd lost. She smiled softly. Good. Keep going. And don't let them, any of them, define you. I nodded. Her words resonated. I didn't need to rush revenge. I could rebuild my life, sharpen my mind, and wait for the cracks in Daniel and Emily's world to show. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, reviewing emails and schedules. My thoughts drifted to Emily's forced smiles and Daniel's smugness. They thought they'd won. They thought I was broken. But I wasn't. Not anymore. I whispered to myself, steady and certain, I'll rebuild. I'll rise. And one day, they'll see that they underestimated me. And for the first time since the wedding, I believed it. I couldn't stop myself from checking social media, even though every post made my stomach twist. Daniel's arrogance was on full display, boastful selfies, endless humble brags about promotions, his perfect life with Emily plastered for the world to see. Still stalking them? Ryan asked one evening, tossing a bag of chips onto the couch. I can't help it, I admitted. I need to know if it's real. If they're really happy. Careful, man, he warned. Obsessing over them won't help you. I know, I muttered, scrolling. That's when I noticed Emily's post, a caption under a photo of them smiling that read, trying to keep a smile through all the stress. She looked strained. Not happy. Not content. She's not happy, I whispered. I can see it. Ryan frowned. Careful reading too much into posts. People lie online. But I knew her. I could sense the tension. And then came the rumors through mutual acquaintances at work. Did you hear about Daniel's big client meeting? Jenna asked casually as we grabbed coffee. Yeah, I said, trying to sound casual. He totally messed it up. Kept bragging about the project, promised deadlines he couldn't meet. The client is furious. I felt a flicker of satisfaction. Figures. That's exactly his style. Emily's been upset about it too, Jenna continued. She's been complaining nonstop about him being careless, arrogant, not listening. I leaned back against the counter, letting a small, guilty thrill run through me. Justice, or karma, was slowly appearing, small and quiet but undeniable. Later, Sarah walked over, holding a cup of tea. You've got that look again, she said softly. The one where you're tracking them like some mission. I can't help it, I admitted. It's like watching their cracks form is satisfying. I don't know if that's wrong. She studied me, her gaze calm and steady. It's not wrong to notice consequences. But fixating on them, that's where it stops helping you. Focus on your path, Alex. Your life, your growth. Not their failures. I know, I said, looking down at my hands. But it feels good to see their perfect lives aren't so perfect. Sarah shrugged gently. I get it. But remember, your strength comes from building your life, not watching theirs crumble. I nodded slowly, though the pull of knowing their struggles was almost addictive. Later that night, I caught another post, Daniel's smug grin, caption just closed the deal like a pro. But the comments told a different story. Complaints from coworkers about miscommunication, missed deadlines, and arrogance. I smirked quietly. Figures. Then came Emily's subtle posts. Sometimes the people we love can disappoint us the most. A chill ran down my spine. That's all it took, a few words, barely noticeable, but enough for me to feel the tension growing between them. I replayed every memory of their wedding, the way Emily's smiles always felt forced when Daniel was around. I felt a mix of anger, vindication, and guilt. Watching them falter was satisfying, but did it make me cruel? I decided to test myself. Sarah, I said the next day, how do I focus on myself when I can't stop noticing them? She leaned back in her chair. You acknowledge it, and then you let it go. You live your life. Success and growth are the best revenge, but not the kind that consumes you. I see, I said, breathing slowly. I guess. I just want to make sure I'm stronger than they thought I was. And you will be, she said firmly. Don't waste energy measuring every crack. Build your own foundation. I nodded, letting her words sink in. But even as I returned to work, I couldn't ignore the updates. Daniel's arrogance led to more failures, missed calls, arguments with colleagues, even a small public embarrassment at a company event. Emily's dissatisfaction grew visible through her captions and photos. I clenched my fists quietly. Slowly, I muttered to myself, "Patience. Let it unfold. But I'll be ready." For the first time in weeks, I felt a sense of control return. Not from confrontation, not from rage, but from understanding that life had a way of balancing itself. "Keep your eyes on your own path," Sarah reminded me later. "Everything else will follow." I smiled faintly. Yeah, my path. My life. I won't let them define it. And for the first time, I felt a strange peace, knowing the seeds of karma were already planted, even if I chose to stay silent and let them grow naturally. I wasn't expecting to see him, but there he was, Daniel, leaning against the cafe counter, smirking at nothing. My chest tightened. "Alex," he said, voice casual, like nothing had happened. I forced a smile. "Daniel, didn't expect to run into you here." "Funny coincidence," he replied. "Or maybe fate." I tilted my head, scanning him. "Fate? Or arrogance?" He frowned, a flicker of discomfort crossing his face. "I don't know what you mean." I pulled out a chair, sitting across from him. "Come on, Daniel. Don't play games. You took everything from me. Emily, the wedding, you knew what you were doing." His smirk faltered. It wasn't like that. I mean, I never meant to hurt you." You never meant to hurt me?" I laughed, sharp and bitter. "You ruined my life. My family sided with you. And now you act like it was nothing." He looked away, fidgeting with his coffee cup. "Look, I always felt invisible. You got everything, attention, praise, everyone looking up to you. I wanted to feel noticed, wanted her to see me, to see something in me." My stomach twisted, not with satisfaction, but with a strange, uneasy understanding. "So jealousy," I said softly. "You destroyed me out of jealousy?" He nodded, barely audible. "I know it was wrong. I thought it would make things better for me." I leaned back, trying to keep my anger contained. "Better for you? And Emily? Did you ever think about her?" She's not happy," he admitted, voice low. "I thought she would be, but I don't know. I think she's regretting it." That caught me off guard. "Regretting it?" "Yes," he said, finally looking me in the eyes. "She's frustrated. She didn't want this as much as she said she did. I can see it now." I felt a strange mix of emotions, vindication, relief, and lingering hurt. "She told you?" I asked. He shook his head. "No, I can tell. The little things, her posts, her tone, she's unhappy, Alex. And it's my fault." I clenched my fists quietly. Rage still simmered, but a new feeling emerged, clarity. "So, both of you made mistakes. Big ones." He nodded slowly. "I know. I wish I could take it all back." Before I could respond, Emily appeared at the cafe, eyes wide when she saw me. She hesitated, then walked over. "Alex, can we talk?" I motioned to the empty chair beside me. She sat down, folding her hands nervously. I never wanted to hurt you," she said softly. "Marrying Daniel, it was a mistake. I thought I wanted something different, but I was wrong." I cut in, voice tight. "You left me. On my wedding day. You didn't just hurt me, Emily. You humiliated me." Tears shimmered in her eyes. "I know, and I hate myself for it. I didn't realize how much I loved you until I lost you. I thought I could be happy with Daniel, but I'm not. I never was." I stared at her, my heart hammering. Every memory of us together flashed through my mind. The laughter, the plans, the love I thought was mutual. And Daniel? Was he the reason? Emily shook her head. "No, it was me. I thought I wanted him. I thought it was easier. But it's not. None of it was right." I leaned back, closing my eyes briefly. The tension in my chest was heavy, suffocating, yet strangely freeing. "So what now?" I asked quietly. Emily looked down. "I don't know. I needed you to know the truth. I'm sorry, Alex. I truly am." I exhaled slowly, feeling a decision forming. I could lash out, expose them, make them feel the same pain. Or I could walk away, intact, stronger, and let karma do its work. "I hear you," I said finally, voice steady. "And I forgive you, not for you, but for me. I won't let this define me." Daniel swallowed, visibly shaken. You really mean that?" "I do," I said. "You'll face the consequences of your choices. But I won't be part of your chaos anymore. My life, my dignity, I take back. And I'll rise without dragging anyone down." Emily's lips trembled, but she nodded. "Thank you, Alex." I stood, feeling a strange lightness. The weight of betrayal still lingered, but for the first time, I felt control returning. "Goodbye," I said, voice calm but firm. As I walked out of the cafe, the sunlight felt different, warmer, sharper. I was ready to rebuild, ready to grow, and ready to let the world see my strength. And in that moment, I knew one thing. I had chosen dignity over revenge, patience over impulsion, and myself over the chaos they had created. I woke up that morning with a quiet determination I hadn't felt in months. The betrayal, the humiliation, it still stung, but I realized I had two choices: linger in the wreckage or take back my life. "Alex, you look different today," Ryan said when I met him at the cafe for breakfast. "Different?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "Focused. Like you've decided something." I smiled faintly. "Maybe I have. Maybe I'm done letting them dictate how I feel, how I live." He nodded approvingly. "Good. You needed that." At work, I made a conscious effort to step up. Projects I'd been hesitant to lead suddenly seemed like opportunities. Minor colleagues who'd laughed at Daniel's arrogance now looked at me differently when I took initiative. "Alex, I need you to handle the Miller account," my manager said. "Your strategy last week was impressive." "Thank you," I said, swallowing the lump of pride that rose in my throat. "I'll make sure it succeeds." Later, Jenna approached me. "You're really shining. Everyone notices it." I leaned back, smiling but reserved. It's time to take control. I can't depend on luck or someone else's mistakes anymore. By evening, I found myself at a quiet bookstore cafe, meeting a mentor I'd been introduced to months ago, but never reached out to seriously, Mr. Thompson. He studied me for a moment, then said, "Alex, strength isn't just surviving betrayal. It's transforming it into your power." I nodded. "I want that. I want to be better, smarter, untouchable." "Good," he said. "Step 1, emotional independence. Step 2, strategic control. Step 3, let consequences reach those who deserve them naturally. Never chase revenge. It weakens you." "I understand," I said. I want them to see I'm not broken. You'll show it in time. Not with confrontation, but with your life. Your achievements, your confidence, they will speak louder than anger ever could." I spent the next few weeks immersed in work and self-improvement. I enrolled in online courses, networked with influential figures, and focused on personal health. My confidence grew. Friends like Ryan and Jenna noticed the shift, and even Sarah commented, "You're finally reclaiming yourself." One evening, I received a message from Emily. "Can we meet? I need to talk." I stared at the screen, my heart lurching. But I remembered Mr. Thompson's advice and my own resolve. "I can't, Emily," I typed back. "I'm focusing on myself. I hope you understand." Her reply came quickly. "I do. I'm scared and lost." I put the phone down, feeling a strange mixture of pity and pride. I could feel empathy, but I would not be pulled back into their chaos. I had my own life to build. Meanwhile, Daniel's failures began to pile up. Rumors of botched projects reached my ears through colleagues who had once supported him blindly. "He messed up the Henderson deal," one whispered. "Clients are furious. He's losing credibility fast." I didn't feel glee. Not really. But I felt justified. And quietly, strategically satisfied. I started reclaiming parts of my life that had been overshadowed by their betrayal. I polished family heirlooms, arranged a small gathering to honor our late grandfather's legacy, and ensured my achievements were recognized at work. Every action, no matter how small, felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. One evening, Sarah joined me for dinner. "You're glowing, Alex." "Really," she said. "I've stopped waiting for them to fail. I'm doing the work myself. If they stumble, it won't matter. I'll already be ahead," I said. She smiled warmly. "That's real strength. Not revenge. Growth." Her words sank in as I reflected on Daniel's arrogance. He had underestimated me, assumed I'd crumble. He thought Emily and his little manipulations would keep me down. But I wasn't the same man anymore. At work, minor antagonists, colleagues who had previously sided with Daniel, tried subtle sabotage, questioning my decisions, mocking my strategies. I handled it calmly, diplomatically, never lashing out, always proving competence with results. Their expressions changed slowly, from skepticism to reluctant respect. One evening, Ryan nudged me as we left the office. "They're realizing you're untouchable now. You've turned heartbreak into power." I chuckled softly. Feels good. And I didn't even have to fight dirty. Just focus, patience, and strategy. Even at home, I noticed changes in me. I walked with more confidence, spoke with clarity, laughed without reservation. Emily's texts became less frequent, desperate. Daniel's arrogance was met with subtle consequences in his social and professional circles. The universe was balancing itself, quietly, while I concentrated on my own ascent. I held the family heirloom, my grandfather's watch, carefully in my hand. Symbolic, yes, but it reminded me that power comes from patience, strategy, and self-respect. Not vengeance. I whispered to myself, I'm taking back everything. My life, my dignity, my strength. And for the first time since the wedding, I felt unshakable. Not because Daniel fell, not because Emily suffered, but because I had finally chosen myself, and in doing so, I had become unstoppable. I was at my office when the news hit, again. Daniel had made another catastrophic mistake, this time at a high-profile client meeting. Rumors spread fast. His arrogance, his sloppy work, and Emily's visible frustration had combined into a spectacle for everyone to witness. Alex, did you hear? Jenna said, almost whispering as she leaned over my desk. Daniel completely embarrassed himself in the Henderson presentation. And Emily, she stormed out. I raised an eyebrow, keeping my expression calm. I heard. Surprising. She laughed lightly, but I caught the undercurrent of satisfaction. Not for you, I guess. I leaned back, watching the news updates on my phone. Pictures of Daniel looking flustered, Emily glaring at him, and the client shaking their heads flashed across the screen. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I simply felt closure. Ryan popped into my office a few minutes later, shaking his head. Man, karma is a slow mover, but it doesn't miss. I chuckled softly. Slow but precise. Later that evening, I received a call from my mother. Her voice was tight, strained, almost unrecognizable. Alex, Daniel, Emily, your father and I, we didn't realize. I cut her off gently but firmly. You realized too late, Mom. And I won't dwell on your mistakes anymore. I have my life, my choices, and my peace. But Alex, she started, voice breaking. I'm listening, but I've learned what I needed from all this, I said. You can't undo the past. Daniel and Emily are facing the consequences of their actions. That's enough for me. She was silent for a moment. I'm sorry. I know, I replied softly. But apologies don't fix betrayal. Actions do, and you'll see it now. After the call, I walked to the balcony of my apartment. The city lights glittered, alive, indifferent. I let myself breathe deeply, feeling the weight of months lifting. Daniel's arrogance, Emily's recklessness, and my family's misplaced loyalties had left scars, but the storm had passed. My phone buzzed. A message from Emily appeared. Can we talk? I stared at it, heart tightening briefly, then exhaled. I typed, I don't need to. I hope you understand the consequences of your choices. Take care of yourself. No reply came. I didn't need one. The closure was already mine. Sarah joined me later that evening for dinner. She smiled, warmth in her eyes. You look different. Lighter. I feel different, I admitted. Watching them crumble, it's not about revenge. It's about seeing life balance itself, and realizing I'm free from it all. She reached out, touching my hand gently. I'm glad. You've done what most can't, taken heartbreak and turned it into growth. I smiled. It wasn't easy, but it had to be done. I've learned patience, strategy, and self-respect. And I've learned that my worth isn't tied to anyone else's actions. Sarah nodded. And that's the real victory. The next few weeks were peaceful. Daniel's failures became public knowledge. Clients refused to work with him, colleagues distanced themselves, and even social circles shunned him. Emily, visibly frustrated and regretful, tried to salvage some dignity, but her attempts only highlighted her poor decisions. I watched from a distance, calm and composed. One afternoon, my father approached me. His voice was heavy. Alex, I think we underestimated you. Your focus, your drive, you've changed everything. I looked at him, emotion restrained. I've changed myself, Dad. And that's something no one can take away. Daniel made his choices, Emily made hers, and now the consequences are theirs alone. He nodded slowly. I see that now. I just wish we had recognized it sooner. It's past now. What matters is what comes next, I said. Later, I reclaimed more of my life, reconnecting with friends, taking trips I had postponed, investing in personal passions. Every decision was deliberate, every action reinforcing my independence. My career thrived, my emotional strength solidified. One evening, Ryan and I met at a small rooftop bar. He raised his glass. To Alex, unbroken, unstoppable, and wiser than ever. I clinked my glass with his, smiling. To new beginnings. Even Emily reached out one last time, desperate and remorseful. Alex, I've lost everything. I didn't understand what I had. I paused before replying. You made your choices. I've made mine. Learn, grow, and move forward. She read it, the message unreturned, the boundary established. I felt no satisfaction, only serenity. The past could no longer dictate my present. Weeks later, I sat with Sarah on a quiet park bench, sunlight warming our faces. You know, she said softly, I think you've earned happiness. I glanced at her, something unspoken passing between us. I think I'm ready to find it. Not tied to the past, not defined by betrayal. Just life and growth, and maybe something new. She smiled, hopeful. Then take it. You deserve it. I exhaled, looking at the horizon. The world felt vast, full of possibilities. Daniel's arrogance had fallen. Emily's mistakes had caught up with her. My parents' favoritism had no bearing on who I had become. And I had transformed. The weight of betrayal no longer hung over me. It had shaped me, strengthened me, and taught me that the only approval I needed was my own. A soft breeze brushed my face, carrying with it the scent of freedom, of renewal. I finally allowed myself a quiet smile, a moment of peace I hadn't known in months. Here's to life, I whispered, voice steady. To growth, to strength, and to happiness that is mine and mine alone. Sarah squeezed my hand. And you'll find it, Alex. I believe that. I nodded, heart steady, eyes clear. The past was gone. Karma had played its part. And now my life, my choices, my happiness were finally mine to claim. For the first time in what felt like forever, I felt whole.